Welcome back, my delinquents. We have some insane news coming from TwitchCon, especially regarding our VTuber brethren out there. The biggest part of it being multiple roofie attempts seem to be having recorded over TwitchCon, especially on day 1, continuing over to day 2. I was waiting for the TwitchCon to finish before reporting on this fully, seeing not many of the details were out there, but it was all over Twitter, so a lot of people did get notified about this. So there's multiple women talking about it. I have 3 saved here, but from reports, it's up to 8 so far. Not to mention the many harassments that happen to other streamers, not just VTubers, and some of these incidents happening in the Twitch partner VIP rooms or the Blurp partner VIP rooms. So some very secluded places. So it wasn't automatically just guests doing this, but other streamers. I don't want to point fingers here and say it was 100% another streamer, but these rooms are restricted that some of this happened. But you don't have to believe me, let's get into the story. So for some of you who are familiar with TwitchCon, this may not come as a huge surprise to you because it's one of the reasons I'm not particularly keen to go, but the parties and the VIP sections and the shenanigans that go on TwitchCon have a darker side to them. And it can hit out of nowhere in different conventions. People's bottles of water has been spiked. So I don't want this to turn into, well, they shouldn't drink, they shouldn't party, they shouldn't go out and meet people. It can happen to you at any time. It can happen to a booth. It can be happen with a bottle of water just being placed down. It can happen quickly. But this TwitchCon seemed to be more than usual women getting spiked, specifically. And again, I want to underline, this can happen to anyone. I don't want you to feel super duper safe just because you're banning this, or feel like I'm blaming it all men and it's can't happen to men, it's only women. This can happen to anyone for a multitude of reasons. Either way, it is incredibly dangerous. But let's get into one of the first stories. Hades from the VTuber corporate group Mythos was one of the first, I think, to have a problem, and luckily enough, she was with her corporation here. And this is why another one, a lot of people won't go to conventions alone, and I would suggest, I know it sucks if you don't have any friends, do not go to conventions alone. Please, 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 do not go to conventions, especially huge ones, alone, especially if there's parties at nighttime. Safety issues are prevalent, especially at overflowing conventions where security will be very strained. Let's go into Hades. Let's go into Hades' statement, an update. I'm awake now. We don't know what actually happened to me last night. Other than I just wasn't okay. I was in no state to go to the hospital, so I don't have insurance. So I did not receive any tests to see if I had something in my stream. We only suspect my drink may have been spiked due to how sick and horrible and drunk I felt after only 2 drinks, even 3 to 4 hours out from leaving the bar. I felt very wrong and overall not okay. I was in trouble. I was in a terrible headspace and honestly should not have been on tweeting, and I apologize for anyone I may have worried. Luckily, my friends took care of me, so I am safe no matter what caused me to feel that way. That is the thing. This is a very general, which seems to be that this drug may be the same drug. It's hard to know if multiple people did this or the same person. But this is common for roofie drugs. Many hours afterwards, lingering sickness, it's like 2 to 6 hours or something, and the passing out and the derangedness, it's very, very common with these drugs. Luckily, Hades was with a lot other members and a lot of other girls, and they got home safely, but they were not in the right headspace. They were delirious and very out of it. Very dangerous situation. A lot of streamers commented on this, and I want to outline a couple of things. And next to, I feel like the insurance things, I think this brings to people's attentions that VTubers aren't automatically wealthy too. So because you hurt them doesn't mean they have the money to go fix it. A lot of them are living on minimum wage and don't even have insurance. So I feel like that's a good thing to point out here. But also that she only had 2 drinks when this happened. She wasn't drunk. She wasn't careless. This just happens. And that's why it doesn't really matter sometimes in those situations. If someone wants to get you, they will get you. And the only way is to really try and prevent leaving your drink. No matter what you're drinking or where you're drinking it, you should not leave it alone at any time. Because that's the only real way to prevent it. And even then, it may have still happened, because you can do everything right, and it still happens. Going into the next story, another one who's MEQ, another VTuber. I was also roofied last night at a VIP party, which seems to be where Hades was too, was at a VIP party. A lot of this happened in like, sub rooms, which says also that these are most likely streamers, or maybe friends of streamers that is doing this to people, because you have to be at a certain level to get into these parties usually. I'm safe and okay. Had a wonderful group of friends to help me. Stay safe, gamers, and cover your drinks. Again, another person who was very lucky to have friends with them. Then more people commented on this, about the situation, and as you know, things were getting very crazy with the assaults and stuff at TwitchCon, but this didn't just stop here. Another blurp party. Blurp party is a VIP party for probably more blurp partners. I'm not 100% if it's restricted to only partners, but Blurp is a sound service. They are partnered with a lot of people. Very thankful that everyone I know who did get roofed was all with friends and got home safe and was around good people. That is kind of the problem here. If someone didn't and they weren't around friends, we may not know until much later, or they may not say anything, unfortunately, because everyone we're hearing from are people who were in groups. I was fortunate to have noticed my drink was roofied and only had sips as it was in water. I'm very thankful for my friends for helping me get home safe and trying to keep me calm. I feel so upset and mad at whoever did this to me and my friends, as my friends weren't so lucky and didn't notice and got the full effect. I really hope next year they do better at keeping the parties more secured and actually keep to the guest list, as I'm sure whoever did this was someone who snuck in. It could have been, that's the thing, it could have been someone snuck in, it could be another streamer, it could be a streamer's guest. It's hard to know, because unfortunately this isn't new for TwitchCon. TwitchCon has a terrible reputation. As we know, a few years back, a few partnered Twitch streamers were completely revealed to be doing this to people. So we have to keep that in mind. It's not automatically that someone evil snuck in past the guards. It can be someone is already behind the gate and they're allowed in because you don't know who they are. That is the thing. With people who do roofies, absolutely scummy like this, only scum would do something like this to someone, is then they don't automatically wear a sign saying, I'm evil. So it's just like, it could be someone who seems normal, a normal streamer, who knows? We don't. But the problem is there are a lot of people that go to these overcrowded conventions, and there is a lot of them in America. And this happens sometimes at anime conventions too, because they're so overcrowded, so it makes it so much easier to do this, unfortunately. They're the main statements I've found so far going over this, and it's a real problem, but as so far has been reported, it could be more than 8 women so far, and that is just the roofie incidents. Not to mention there was reports of assault, harassment, not just against women too, against male streamers too, especially if you haven't heard it going around, kick streamers harassing even big streamers, not just VTubers. It was completely out of control, this situation. Luckily, on some of the more obvious ones, TwitchCon did step in with security and kick them out, but sadly, all these other situations go unresolved. As we could see from this situation shared by someone called Chasing Dopamine, the alcoholic beverages were just, for some of these sections, are literally just put on a table, not handed to anyone, just put on a table. Literally, could be a spiked, could be roofie, could be put anything they want into these drinks. This is not safe handling. And they're like, apparently Keemstar said, oh, you're complaining about free beer, but this is not, you can give away free stuff. You are still responsible to handle it correctly. Oh, so here's another one, non-Vita, KT, TwitchCon last night. I got roofied, toxins came back with benzos in my system, which combined with alcohol could have meant death. And that is another thing about these, that roofies aren't just a simple pass-out drug, even though if you connect any of the things someone might use a roofie for, it's also, it can kill you. You can die. They are dangerous. And a lot of people may not be aware of this. There's very young people going to TwitchCon. There's barely 18-year-olds, etc. Twitch needs to do the correct service laws, especially for alcohol, especially for security, because a lot of people's lives are on the line here. It can become very dangerous very quickly, as we've known from many conventions in the past. So going to these conventions or any of these groups, be it TwitchCon, AnimeCon, Comic-Con, whatever you want to call it, whatever, all of them that's out there in your country, keep this in mind. Your safety is your number one priority. You can't always trust the convention center to have your best interest at heart or even run it correctly. A lot of people know the story outlining the girl that broke a part of her spine jumping into a foam pit at TwitchCon that wasn't run correctly. That they don't always follow the rules. And be safe. Research, protect yourself. Don't ever feel ashamed for doing it, man or woman. And this really needs to get under control because TwitchCon has had this reputation as a bit of a raver for a long time where it's all just drinking, partying, getting into so much trouble, especially mainly with the in real life streamers that aren't VTubers. And it's been that way for a long time, but it seems to just be getting more and more out of control every year and getting more dangerous. What do you guys think? What do you think of this situation? Is there anything that can be realistically done here? Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell. Maybe check out the Patreon if you want to help make out new videos or on any of the channels. And I'll catch you next time, my delinquents. And if you feel yourself are a very deli supporter or want some specific VTuber merch, the merch store has actually opened this week.